where somebody's under pressure, pressure to perform results. They can distort figures, pressure to find a bit of extra money, where the opportunities are there, the controls are weak, and the rationale of the person. He comes to a meeting and he's late, and he said he was speeding, breaking the speeding rules. He said he didn't put his seatbelt on. He said he parked in the disabled parking. That tells me that this person is slightly not honest. Yeah? So when you've got pressure, rationale, and opportunity, there is high risk of fraud. Very much like a fire. Think of a fire situation where you have heat, fuel, and oxygen. If you take one of those away, the fire will go out. If you reduce the number of them, there's less risk of fire. More recently, the forensic analysts have been extending these three corners to a fourth corner. We look at capability now. We look at the capability of the people, which includes their position. Are they in a position of gatekeeping, of control? Are they in a position, do they control money? Do they control physical stock? What is their mindset inside their brains? Coercion skills. We look at the mind of the individual now and how that creates capability. Some people are not capable of defrauding. Iceberg theory of dishonesty. I do quite a lot of psychological analysis of fraudsters. We profile fraudsters. Quite often I can see a fraudster before we open any books or records. We have an initial meeting, there's $1 million missing, there's 8 people around the table. Quite often I get a very good sense as to who is higher on the risk chart to me than who is lower. And it comes from this sort of issue. This is an iceberg. Can you see the sea? Above the ice, above the waterline is covert aspects. Overt, things you can see. You can see in individuals. So you can look at the hierarchy, where they are in the organization. You can get if they're pulling up in a Ferrari and their salary is $5,000 a month, you can work out what's going on. Goals of the organization. Quite often, goals are too highly stretched, and people have to manipulate numbers. Skills and abilities of personnel. Technological state of the business. If it's still very manually orientated, there's a higher risk. Efficiencies. But we also look below the iceberg at the behavioral considerations. Behavior. Attitudes, feelings, values. Do people have values? High or low values. Norms, interaction, supportiveness, satisfaction. Fraudsters are never satisfied. They always want more. We look at the hidden aspects of the fraudster. And it's better to drain the swamps than to fight the alligators. This is being reactive to fraud and fighting the alligators. This is being proactive. What I think we all need to do is be more proactive. If we are proactive and have all the right policies in place, recruit the right people, if we're all sensitive and looking for these fraudulent events, there is a lower risk of it happening. It's good governance, it's good risk management. The biggest risk to any organisation is not managing risk. And I take it a bit further. The biggest risk is not managing fraud risk. I've got a 4-minute video to show you now, just to close with, and it's orientated around the check frauds I've shown you. I want to show you how easy it is for a fraudster to change the details on checks by using chemicals. It's just 4 minutes. There is no sound. I will talk you through it. Right, here we go.
Which is enormous figures, and that's
I'll
why
talk you through it. This is how to commit check fraud. If anybody can reduce the lights at the front, that would be good. Thank you. Just the front lights. Normal chemicals that you buy in a chemist's shop. Magnifying glass, pencil eraser, and crayons that your children use at home and at school. Normal coloured crayons. This is a hypodermic needle. Ink sits on top of paper. It's on the top of paper. It doesn't go into it very far. If you can scrape off the ink, you can replace it with something else. So this is me actually changing the details on a check. Scratching off the ink with a hypodermic needle. It scratches off the background as well. The background does come off. Doesn't look very good so far. Then we use the pencil eraser, which takes the background pattern off the cheque. And then the crayons. Now I'm doing exactly the same process, but speeding up the film. Eraser, coloured crayon. This is how easy it is to take a bank stamp off a cheque. If you can remove a bank stamp off a cheque, you can put it through the bank again. Sorry, not you, but the fraudster. But statistically, the fraudster could be you. You cannot see that change. Now, I steal a cheque to ABC. If I can change it to XYZ, I can put it in XYZ's bank account. This is acid. The fraudster uses acid. Do you remember from chemistry, to neutralize the acid, you use alkali. Alkali neutralizes the acid so it doesn't burn through the paper. Unfortunately, most alkalines stain the paper purple or blue. So the fraudster uses a bleach. Different types of bleach. The fraudster uses a bleach. ABC is gone. XYZ. This works on immovable ink also. Depends on the paper. Remember the syndicate? If it's the right type of paper that the cheque is on, it's worth more money. Cancel stamp. Acid. Alkali. And then bleach. It's quite difficult to do, and it does take a lot of time, but if that's a cheque for $1 million, it's worth it. It's a good investment in time. The better way, the best way to cancel a cheque is with holes. Stamps with holes in. Cancelled. It cannot be used again. Now, this is a secure cheque that we developed for some clients. It is a very soft paper. It is a sensitive paper that will react to any tampering, to any attack. So if I'm scratching the surface of the ink here, the ink has gone deep into the paper. It's like a soft toilet paper. The ink goes deep, and it's not possible to scratch it off the surface. So if you look carefully there, you can see a mark on the cheque. Let's try with acid. Alkali. But the acid has bleached the cheque, has stained the cheque. It's burnt the cheque. You can see the mark on the cheque. And just in that fraction of a second, the acid has eaten all the way through to the back. So that's a very secure cheque. That's the video finished. The reason why I wanted to show you that was because if you have a secure cheque and the fraudster tries to forge it and leaves marks on it, and the bank lets it go through the system, it can be deemed that the bank is negligent. Okay. That was my very brief 40-minute presentation on the basics of fraud and what to look for, what to expect. I hope you're all a little bit shocked, but at least you will look at those checks a little bit more carefully now. Yes? Any? Thank you very much. I don't know how we're structuring questions, but if you've got any questions,
it's out of the audience.
Please come and talk to me at tea break.
We need to give Simon Padgett a very, very big round of applause. This is some unbelievable stuff that we've been seeing. And sorry, Simon, you will be here for a little while? Okay, so there will be lots of opportunity to interact and perhaps find out, because if, God forbid, there is some fraud taking place or that you are aware of, I don't think